Hello everyone, I am so excited to be back. I had taken some time off because our moms were also visiting from Belgium, Europe, so we had shown them around our new place because they hadn't visited yet, and then we took a couple of trips to the beach and to the mountains, and it was just so much fun. And bonus, I have additional pictures I can scrapbook. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about something I often struggle with, and it's when I actually don't scrapbook for a little bit. I kind of fall into a scrapbook rut, so to speak, just because I feel overwhelmed with the amount of choices and possibilities out there. I know that's probably very different for other people. They probably take some time away to get inspired. For me, it's almost like when I get into the flow, I think it's easier to take inspiration and just kind of go from there. So I kind of wanted to show what my process would be for coming back out of that scrapbook rut. And for me, that is to start with a sketch. There's so many amazing places out on the internet that you can find sketches, like Pinterest. You can just type in scrapbook sketches. Even Amazon sells books. There's a lot of different websites out there. If you just Google, that'll provide free sketches or you can buy some. The sketch I'm going to use today is from the creative design team. They're an amazing group of ladies that often publish their own sketchbooks, and you can buy them off of their website. Just tick in the creative design team scrapbook sketches, and you'll probably find it as one of the first websites. And the scrapbook or the sketchbook I'm going to use today is specifically focused on using 6x6 paper, which is amazing because Stampin' Up often does introduce really nice 6x6 paper, but it's not the easiest to apply to your scrapbook layout, or I sometimes struggle with it. So kind of using the sketch as my inspiration or start point, that just gets me going. And you can take a sketch as is and just basically apply everything or just copy it over, just, adjust the papers and the embellishments, and that still creates your own unique touch since you decided what paper colors you want to have on your layout. However, you'll see in the video today is I did change the sketch around, and that often happens when I start to get going. Just with the photos I had, it looked better a certain way, and I feel like a sketch just provides me with that starting point I need to not feel too overwhelmed. I just use the the paper I want to use, and I just follow the sketch, and then you kind of just flip things around. You'll see there's a lot of elements of the sketch I still kind of just copied over and applied that I might have not thought of at the time I was, putting everything together. Again, because of that feeling of being a little bit overwhelmed, sometimes you just don't think of certain elements that you can add. But I will talk you through my whole process and why I chose that specific sketch. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we can go ahead and get started. All right, so this is the design or sketchbook I'm going to use. It's the volume 3 sketchbook from the design team. And so my process was, I kind of just flicked through this. I knew already that I wanted to have a layout that featured many different patterns. I knew that much because I wanted to work with the beautiful gallery suite, and I love these blue colors that were in here, so I knew I kind of wanted to use those in my layout because I loved how that would correspond with my photos. And let me quickly pull those up. This is just a wedding celebration we had, but as you can see in these photos, we had a lot of different green tones, and then Jill's blazer was a blue color. And I immediately thought of the paper because I think the romantic feel of that paper with these pictures, I love it. So that's why I also kind of picked out these beautiful blue tones and some of the brown undertones, and then this really soft green because that'll correspond nicely with the greenery that we had in our photos. So I was flicking through here and I knew I kind of wanted a couple of different designs, and I stumbled upon this one because it has different strips coming across, so that gives me the possibility to use those different pattern papers. And then it also has a small strip going across the top, as well as some embellishment clusters that they use some half circles and circles for to kind of ground them. So this definitely will provide me with my base to start off with, and then based on this, once I get going, we'll see where it takes us. So I'm going to take my Versamats, put these down, and then so the color in the beautiful gallery collection, so this really dark color, that's actually Secret Sea. I thought I ordered it, but for the life of me, I can't find it. So I'm just going to use Harbor, which is a close to my heart color, and I feel like I don't remember, somebody did a comparison, but it's similar enough that it'll work with the paper. So I'm just gonna put these down right here to get us started. I normally always take a white cardstock, but I felt for this like celebratory design or layout that we wanted to make, I thought this dark would look really cool, especially to contrast our papers. Because I don't know, oh, hang on. So I was just going to say, I don't know if I'm going to use the exact measurements to a T, but I do know I want these like little strips coming across. So I'm just going to put them down and see, whoa, how I would like to have the different colors going across. I don't think I'm going to do, because I do want to add 5 strips. I think they have 4 in the sketchbook. So I'm not going to follow their measurements exactly, because also it just wouldn't fit. So I think I'm just going to put it down very haphazardly right now, and we can always adjust it and make it more neat later. But I love how that looks. I love this paper. It's so pretty. So I think I want something like this. And then, so the other side is just the same pattern going across. Now they do have it that on the flip side, so the other page, it stops sooner, so it doesn't go across all the way. So like it'd be something like this. But there's already something that I feel like I don't think I'm gonna love, because these pictures, you know, lots going on in them. They're not all the same. I feel like sometimes when you have pictures that are all like featuring one person or one specific thing, it doesn't feel as busy. I actually don't think I'm going to fit everything on here, but I just want to put it down. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if you guys agree, but now it's almost like putting all this focus on this like simple cardstock, and we're just covering all of the pattern paper. So I do like it here. So what I think I'm going to do, scooch these away, is flip this down. And I don't want it coming across as far, because I want more blank space so I can just put down more photos. So I'm following it, but I'm just flip-flopping it on the other side. And I'm actually going to make it come down all the way across. Okay. Something like that. Okay. I think that looks better, because then when we'll have our pictures, and again, this is preference. I feel like if you would have a lot of the same pictures, I think this would have definitely worked. I like that. That's cute. I have a lot of other pictures. I could do like a smaller one. Hang on, I could flip-flop these. I could put that one here. Because I'm going to do a separate layout. Because I don't like that this is a very bright color, which I don't know, maybe I do like, I don't know. But I do want to do a second layout, so I can keep it for that one. But I like this. I think I prefer this. I'm even not sure if I want to do this photo, because then this does give me some room for some notes or like journaling. I wonder if we scooch all this over. Scooch this over some more. Is this looking funky? I wonder if I could cut this down like ever so slightly. So that would be a big cut. I don't think that's going to work. But we also have our embellishments. So TBD on this. But then going back to the design, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to map my photos just on some white cardstock. So it's very contrasting with the Harbor color. And then on the sketch, they have this like strip coming across. However, with our little piece coming down here, I think that's going to look a little bit wonky having something come across here. Not sure. So what I think I'm going to do is I feel like we need something kind of going across this way. And then like I would like it having the same on this side, but just having it of course here and not flip-flop, like not on both sides. So I'm going to take a look quickly through my paper and see what I like. And I'm going to come right back because I feel like we just need something to frame this in. And then I'm also just going to go ahead, because I know these are probably providing a horrible glare. I'm just going to mat all these on some white cardstock, and then we can go ahead and see where we want to place everything and start with our clusters. All right, so I've gone ahead through my papers, and at first I was looking at mist, but then I felt like with this light blue, it wasn't contrasting enough, and I also don't want it to be too much. So I'm going to share with you guys a little sneak peek. This is from an upcoming collection called Peaceful Garden. The demonstrators were able to take part in Creativity Now, which is like I think it's kind of always like a holiday collection, but these are some beautiful shimmer papers. And one of the shimmer papers is actually Secret Sea, which is that dark navy color, which is part of the collection. So it's not really the same as this one, but I was thinking for like a very small elements, I'm going to scooch these over. So we want like I don't want too much, like a super small sliver of this Secret Sea shimmer paper. I think that would look really nice, just peeking out from the paper. That also provides a little bit of like a festive element almost. So I think I'm going to just put that here because it's probably distracting, but I think that looks nice. I like how that just provides a little bit of a pop of something. The other color I was thinking of is mocha, which is like a brown color. This is from Close to My Heart. So I'll just pop that over to see the difference. So this is definitely more of a contrasting color. Let me scooch that over. That went smooth. I'm just going to put that here. We can see what we prefer. So scooch all these little elements over. This is definitely a little bit more contrasting with the papers. So we could also do something like this. I'm just gonna put that there because it always feels like it distracts me. So we could also do that. So I did go ahead and decide to use that Secret Sea instead of the mocha just because of two reasons. One, I did want this whole layout to have more of that blue feel because of just like that blue papers that I use. And I know I have some of the brown coming in, but I want the main focus to be on the blue color. And two, I just feel like the blue is a little bit more of a complementary color. The mocha color was definitely providing more contrast, which normally I would always go for. But in this case, because we are going to add the embellishments and I want the focus to be on these like paper strips, I didn't want the eye to immediately go to that shimmer piece. So I will start putting down all of our little strips going across here vertically. And then the shimmer paper, that like dark navy blue color, I'm going to also bring over to the other side because I almost want this as like a frame for our little strips of paper. I was measuring everything up. It doesn't like measure up exactly, but it was approximately like 2.4 for each little strip that I put down here. And I will have the shimmer piece or the shimmer strip going across the other side, but I'll have it going top and bottom just as like our little frame. I was bringing in the brown again because I was like debating if I did want it have it feel more warm, because you'll see in a minute here, I do have my embellishments that have like a gold feel to it, but I definitely do like the blue. It's kind of hard to see on camera now that I'm looking at it, so I'll have some good shots on my Instagram where you can see it, and I feel like it just ties everything together a little bit better. And especially with our photos where that blue is in his blazer, it just puts the focus more on that color, and I just really like it. So I went ahead and matted all our pictures with just some white cardstock, just provide a little bit of contrast with the underlying papers. And then I used the Secret Garden dies. This is a set from Close to My Heart, and they create these like beautiful layered flowers that I added some gold embossing powder. And it's kind of hard to see, so I'll have some photos up. But I used a brush to add my Versamat ink to kind of brush it down so it looked like the gold foil was almost like gold drops coming down the leaves, because it actually did just rain right before a little celebration, and it just had such a beautiful effect. Like it wasn't like super opaque, it just had like a very subtle effect on all the different leaves. So I started creating my clusters just using every little flower and leaf element that comes within that die set. And I know these dies are no longer available, but I will provide an alternative in the description below. There are actually dies that match with the suite, which is called Gallery Blooms, and they are stunning. But I did want to have more dies that have like a circle feel to it, just to create like little round clusters. And currently in the new album, there is actually a flower set that I'm thinking of that would look really beautiful with this layout as well. So I'll link it down below if you want to have kind of a similar feel with the round clusters. I think that one would look really, really nice too. So I think I really like the placement of all of these. And if you look back at the sketch, I actually did just have everything in the same spot in terms of embellishment clusters like the sketch, just because I liked the balance of everything. And then on the sketch, they also had a long title coming across in the bottom right corner. So I went through all my stickers because I didn't actually want a Cricut title. I wanted something with a little bit more like dimension versus my page. So I found these amazing like thicker stickers. I hadn't used them in a while, and it had a title that said Beautiful Day, which is just perfect for this layout. So, and I like with the stickers, you can kind of like cut it out just with the sticker base and place it on your page to see if you really like it. So that way you can just make sure you dry fit everything before sticking it down. So that's why the white is there. If you think that looks really odd, that's going to be removed, but it's just because I was dry fitting it all. And then in the sketch, they had some ducktails coming across at the top and on the right-hand page. But since we already had those vertical strips going down, I added it to the left-hand page. And I don't know if you can see that, but it immediately created more balance to our page. Because now that like full top section, which was just pure cardstock, because we'll have the title at the bottom, it just breaks it up a little bit better. And then I was talking about that a little bit in the introduction about like things that you sometimes miss when I kind of feel overwhelmed, I get back into it and it's these circle dies. So they had that in the sketch as well, and I honestly completely missed it for my clusters. So I used the deckled circle dies from Stampin' Up, and the color is Mist, which is a close to my heart color. I just didn't want anything too bright. You could actually use that lighter blue color from the paper pack too. But I really like how this looks. I didn't want my circles too big. You can definitely have more of the circles popping out if you like that. I just really love the dark color of the Harbor cardstock, so I didn't want to cover too much up from that in the background. So I just placed that behind two of my larger clusters here. And then I wanted like a really, really small circle up on top, because I just feel like otherwise it's going to cover all of the beautiful paper in the background. So I used one of the smaller circle dies to do my little circle at the top here. And I was, sorry for the glare with the light, I was kind of looking at everything. Sometimes I just need a little bit of space, look at it after I've, had a glass of water. And I was kind of, this little top corner was just a bit bare, but I'm talking about like that cardstock area. And then when I was looking at the sketch, I was like, oh, well, I just realized maybe why. It's because they put the circle on the cardstock and not overlapping our little strips. So I cut it down, squished it up on top here, like right underneath the shimmer strip, and then built my cluster again. And it's so crazy how that little difference made, how that little update made a big difference to our layout, because it just breaks up a little bit more of that cardstock in the background. And it just creates that almost that visual triangle along, so you're following that horizontal strip going down to that vertical strip, and I think that just provides much more balance to our page, and I really like how that looks. So I've decided to commit with everything that I've placed down here. I was thinking about adding some journaling, but since I'm going to do a second layout, I'm going to add it there. So I went ahead and just started sticking everything down. The only thing that I do want to add is just like a little title, or not title, but have a date for when we had our celebration. So I was kind of thinking where I would place that. But before I do that, I'm going to just stick everything down. And the thing I did add that made such a big difference is this open weave trim. And again, you really almost can't see it in the layout because I added it in the background of all these different clusters. But I'll have some shots where you see it. This is such a beautiful trim to just add because it's very delicate. So it just added that great, it also added just a bit of dimension to these different clusters. So really love how that looks. So I went ahead and added my date title here up on top. I was thinking of maybe adding a circle, but with the little paper strips here on the right, it just felt a little bit too busy. So similar with the title where I just put it straight to the cardstock, I went ahead and just put our title down straight on the cardstock as well. Now this is going to look funky in a little bit, and I'm still debating if I want to change this around, because I went and used the European date format, which is day, month, year. And when my husband came in, he was like, wait, that date hasn't even taken place yet. So I'm scared I'm going to mix it up, and in my mind I'm going to start shifting over to the American format once I use it more and more and more. So I might shift it around again because the actual date is May 7th, 2025, and I'm scared I'm just going to forget that I put this in a European format. So I might shift or just move these two around. And I did find like little dots in another sticker set because it was almost a little bit too squashed and too small, so it didn't look like a date. It just looked like a bunch of numbers put together. So this just makes it a lot more clear that this is a date. So it's just moving everything around, making sure it's center. So once we have our date down, I'm going to go ahead and start on my little gems or embellishments I want to add to our clusters. So there's a couple of sets I took out that I feel like work really well with this layout. The first one I want to use are these beautiful little butterflies. They have like a gold brass look to them, and you can already see it on camera how it beautifully reflects the light that shines on it. So I love these in our little clusters here. They were kind of hard to stick down because again, you can't see it with that gold weave. The glue couldn't stick on the paper. It just kind of flopped up with that gold weave. And then I did go ahead and I also added some of these like clear dots with that gold fleck. But once I started putting it down, I was like, you can hardly see that with the gold trim in the background. So I decided on using the pressed flower motifs, which are the dies that, or the embellishments that are actually part of the suite. And they kind of have that like vintage feel to them, and they work really well with the papers and the clusters. But to add a little bit more of that sparkle, I also added the clear dots from an older set, which is I think just like the opal round dots, and there are some that have a yellow shine to them. I think they're the Daffodil Delight dots, and that just works really well with the flowers and that gold embossed powder to it. So it's just a little collection of a couple of different dots together, but it works so well that I didn't mind it. I decided to not have a little center to my flower. Normally I always do that, but I just didn't like how that looked. So I just added some photo mats because there was a horrible glare, but I think everything looks good. There's balance to the page. So I'll hold it up in some natural daylight just so you guys can see the page a bit better. I wanted to quickly just show the final reveal of the page. This is also much better lighting. I'm going to just lift it up so you guys can see. So we used some of that open weave, some heat embossing with some gold embossing powder, and then I did go ahead and add this one little die. It's from the Beautiful Motifs dies set, and it's one of those dies that don't cut out of the paper completely, but you can easily actually cut it out yourself. So I did use it in the same blue color. I could have actually just used the strip, but I kind of like having this with some foam tape on top just for a little added interest in this corner. I don't know why I felt like I was just missing something right there. And then we have our embellishment here with all our little different gems added. And then I'll lift up the other page. So again, this is just the European date. That's why it probably looks kind of wonky because it's not yet happened for the American date style. But I kind of just like that because I still think in the European date format. But yeah, I really loved how this turned out. Again, I think it's so easy to start off with the sketch and get your inspiration from there. With just some minor tweaks, I feel like this page actually looks pretty different than what the sketch originally was, but it still has a lot of the base elements. And with the half circles, it just gives you a little bit of inspiration when you feel a little bit lost, which I often have when I haven't been scrapbooking for a while. So this has definitely kind of like brought me back into it. I'm excited to work on some other layouts coming up. I hope you guys enjoy this layout. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. I will link the products in the description that I used for this layout if I can find it. I know these dies, I don't think they're available any longer, but there's a lot of different ones that I'll just post as like an alternative from the new catalog that would work beautifully, as well as just like the dies that actually come with this suite. These are beautiful too, like these flowers would be gorgeous. But I will tag some other ones to keep it in these like more circle formats in the description down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. I'm officially back, so I'll be posting next week with another layout, and I'm also going to be posting a quick in-between video just to show my craft room. I don't have like a complete craft room per se, but I have a little setup, and I think it might be nice for people to see, like with a smaller space, how I've organized everything. So I'll be posting that pretty soon too. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great day. Bye guys.